Warrior Nation, how is everyone today?
Doing well.
Isaac, good to have you.
Yeah.
I think I've said this for 4 episodes in a row now. Another Steeler football shirt. We're gonna move right on past that right now.
Come on, G.
No, we are, folks. We've got what I would say a big time hitter on the show today.
Oh yes, most definitely. This is gonna be a long one. Get ready.
Mike, Top Shelf Tapper. Welcome.
Wow. What an honor to be here, gentlemen. I mean, there's honors in life, but this is right up there, man. I'm telling you. Marriage, children, and now this podcast.
Oh,
yeah.
wow.
It's right up there.
I mean, we were just talking, Isaac and myself, that you have probably been on more podcasts than he and I combined times 20.
Wow. Yeah. Do Canadian podcasts count?
They can.
They
They
do,
count
eh?
double.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Okay.
Double.
All right.
Double.
Well, I don't know.
Okay.
We'll have to
Sure.
see.
Go for it.
Conversion rate,
There you go.
Canada to
Yeah,
the
yeah.
US.
Exactly. I love it. Hey, we've got a jammed-packed show
Yes.
and a great episode coming up. So let's dive right in. Taps, as you are affectionately known here on campus, talk a little bit. Hometown, I know you were a stellar 5-star athlete in high school. Talk about that. Previous pastor, teaching stints you've had prior to Southern Wesleyan.
Wow, yeah. Born and raised in Ottawa, Canada. Yeah, the house of the Ottawa Senators.
Yes.
Man, yeah. So, I mean, you don't have a whole lot of options, guys. In Canada, you're either like a hockey player or you're a knitter maybe or something. So,
That is a nice sweater you're wearing.
yeah, it is. Yeah, Canadian knit here. Yeah. Hockey kind of grew up in and around sports, Canadian sports all my life. Yeah. And born and raised, but now I find myself down here in central South Carolina, guys. I mean,
Say that one more time, our state.
South Carolina. South Carolina. Did you get that?
That's
yeah.
awesome, eh?
Yeah, it's great, eh? Yeah. Yeah, it's good.
Guys.
Just really honored to be here. It's good.
Hey, talk a little bit prior to coming to Southern Wesleyan, all right? Let's say what, who, why did you come?
Yeah, that's a great question. Well, I'd say the Canadian rap sheet. I was developing quite a rap sheet there.
Had to get out.
Yeah, had to leave the country and press the reboot button. Yeah. No, seriously, guys, I would say that to be here, I had a really unique opportunity. I love my home and native land, but the opportunity that was presented to me way back in 2017 to come here and to create something new to our viewers that are athletes, what was essentially pitched to me was you got a team that you have an opportunity to come and coach, and there's a lot of potential there. And I was encouraged to dream big and imagine what a creative religion program could look like. And so I was thrilled with the opportunity. I knew that there'd be some challenges out of the gate, but it's been a really, really exciting thing to come to a place and think innovatively and creatively about what a program can look like. Yeah.
Nice. So, you almost answered one of our questions here, so I'm just gonna jump right to it. What do you miss most about Canada?
Oh, wow. Yeah. Well, I led with hockey there, guys. And, I love South Carolina, but not a lot of hockey. Like that was a little bit of a shift. So we got 4 kids, and all 4 of our kids were all in like minor hockey, 3 boys and a girl.
Yeah.
And I don't mind saying to all of our listeners, I hope my sons aren't listening, but my daughter had the most promise as a hockey player. She played.
Yeah.
Isn't that something?
Yeah.
Yeah. Hockey goalie on an all boys team. And she was trending. I mean, she and her oldest brother were trending in hockey.
Yeah.
So to come here to make the transition, it was a little bit of a transition for all of our family, being a hockey family, but man, the ups have definitely outweighed the downs. But I'll tell you, I miss hockey. Yeah, our streaming, the streaming source that we have has NHL Network on it though. So we've got hockey most nights at least. It has. Yeah.
Okay, well, You mentioned, I don't know if uprooted is the correct word, but you brought your family down south to South Carolina. Talk a little bit, because obviously you mentioned coming down in 2017. Wow. So you did not foresee a pandemic. You probably did not foresee 3 presidents during this time.
Yeah.
How has that shaped, molded, motivated you?
Man.
Challenged your faith, perhaps, during a really difficult time? Right?
Yeah. Well, you're right, Coach. There's no way that I could have imagined 6+ years ago the experience of transition that we have experienced. Most of my life, I would say, I don't know, maybe I should talk to my therapist about this, but most of my life, I've walked into situations that have been kind of challenging, all the way up. I kind of, the way I would describe my personality, or maybe a gift trait, is I'm kind of gritty, and I'm generally or usually not the smartest person in the room, but I have a tendency, for good and bad, to have like a tenacity. Like once I grab onto something, I really go after it. And so the challenges that we faced, I mean, you mentioned it, Coach Gillespie. I mean, we got pandemic. We've had a lot of transitions at the school. There's been some challenges there. I've chosen to kind of lock onto it. And yeah, there have been tough days, but for good and bad, I've kind of just said, let's go after it. Let's work through the challenges, and let's do it with as positive an attitude as we possibly can. I think that that's what we need in these sorts of settings, is people that are going to step up. I mean, these are the people that inspire me as I look at challenges in my own life. And you two are a great example of that. I want to be around people that roll up their sleeves when the going gets tough. And if I can be a small example of that to other people, I'm a pretty happy guy at the end of the day.
Nice.
You're
Great.
too humble. Too humble. Yeah.
Talk about this just real quick, because we talked about you coming down here and things like that. Let's say your first visit, and did you arrive on the campus prior to moving down here? Had you been on campus before?
Yeah, I had. Yep.
Okay.
I had an interview down here. I didn't know a whole lot about South Carolina or SWU. And so my interview was the first time that I had stepped on this campus in, I'd say, close to 15 years. I'd landed lots of change. Yeah.
Where were you before?
So I was
before
pastoring up in Canada at a church. And so coming down, it was a really unique experience. I have a vivid memory of, in the interview process, of meeting a student who's actually he was a great athlete here, Grayson Lorenz. Maybe you might remember him, Coach. He was actually part of my interview process. He was an accomplished decathlon athlete here on our track team. Also in the ministry program, asked some pretty tough questions in the interview, as I remember, which I actually really appreciated. And as some of you know, maybe some of our listeners might know, Grayson actually passed away. He courageously battled cancer a few years after the interview and passed away. And so I think back on that, really, really great memory as I think about interviewing here, meeting a really amazing student athlete, and being inspired by him. And I don't mind saying a big part of why I came here was the influence of Grayson, this student athlete, who asked me some tough questions and had some really, really good responses to the questions that I had too.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I did not know that. Yeah. That's great.
Grayson.
I'm fairly certain I know who Grayson is.
Big, tall guy, handsome.
Yeah. Never met him, but heard stories.
Yeah.
Heard a lot of stories. So kind of along those lines, this is a question that we could spend another 30 minutes talking about.
Let's do it.
We're going to cut you off at a certain point. What do you love the most about SWU students?
Whew, wow, yeah. Well, I tell you what, I I love Isaac. I love the inquisitiveness of our students. I mean, you're part of a generation that likes to ask questions. And I happen to be a professor that seeks to ask half decent questions in context. So when it's good, and you've been in classrooms when it's gone really well, and probably a few classrooms where it's kind of not gone so well. I love tapping into the curiosity of a student. And so for good and bad, I'm not afraid to walk into a context and ask questions that maybe some people are afraid to ask. And I'm really inspired when I'm in a classroom and there's it just clicks, right? And there's a lot of energy in a room and there's comments all around, and most of the students, I would say, are engaged, or maybe even all. And you hit a home run and everybody's engaged. I love the curiosity that I sense in students these days. Really open to questions, and not afraid to unpack some of their value and their belief system as well. So, yeah, I'd say that's the thing that comes to mind when I think about students these days. I'm really intrigued by the curiosity that they bring to the table.
Yep. And I must say, being in, how many classes have I had with you? 2?
Oh,
I think
two maybe.
2.
Yeah.
Yeah, only 2. Dang. That'll have to change. But being tutored by you, I see that, and it's amazing to see how you can bring all of the different personalities and belief systems and respect all of them while also challenging all of them.
Got it. Yeah. Well, I'm not a lecture professor. And if some people walk in, some people learn best that way, and they enjoy the lecture. That's not my style. The term, I guess, that's often used is constructivist. So the idea that I have with students is, or the image that I often convey is, let's go on a journey together. We'll land. I've got an idea where the destination is. Don't worry, I'll guide you. But let's go on a journey together. And if we go down a few trails that we didn't anticipate, let's do that. I'll help you get to the end. Let's have fun on the journey.
Good stuff. Yeah.
Tabs, it's no secret that you are everywhere on campus.
Yes.
Overstated.
If not noticed, walking around campus, hockey stick.
Oh, yeah.
You're at fine arts events, obviously chapel. You have classes outside, I've noticed, in good weather situations in the fall and spring.
And every day is a good day weather if you're Canadian.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you're obviously at a lot of sporting events, athletic events here on campus. If not in the press box, you're doing a lot of behind-the-scenes work at the venues that a lot of people it goes unnoticed, to be quite honest, by a lot of people. But what is your big interest with athletics?
Yeah, that's a good question. Some of it is internally between my ears. I'm a pretty competitive guy, actually. Growing up, this might surprise some of our listeners, but I have a pretty competitive streak to me. And growing up, that both played to some strengths and also to some weaknesses, truthfully. So I think one of the draws is the competitiveness. I'm drawn towards athletes and coaches that strive for excellence, and I see that in our programs here. So I think part of it is I want to be around that sort of environment and that sort of spirit. I'm also inspired by the discipline that I see with our student athletes, most of whom are, in addition to the full throttle academic schedule that they've got, they're putting in, I don't know, was it 20 hours or so in addition to, and I find that really, really inspiring. I like being around that, and I like being around the athletes that really have figured out how to balance that. And I guess, and I'm not just saying it because you're here in our podcast, Coach, but I want our coaches to feel genuinely encouraged. Like, I mean, I'm not on the inside. I'm not in every clubhouse. I'm not in every room, but I sense that it's really, really important for some of our coaches who, frankly, let's be honest, coaches aren't here because they're getting a lucrative salary or anything like that. Maybe they are, but
I was about to say, is there something I don't know?
yeah, I don't know. Yeah, but in my opinion, a strong opinion, our coaches need to be encouraged. And if I can play a role in encouraging our coaches and our athletes towards excellence and godliness, and be a little bit of an example in that regard, yeah. Again, I'm a pretty happy man at the end of the day. Yeah,
Awesome.
yeah.
Well, I'll be honest, speaking on behalf of the coaches, really the entire athletic department, and I know student athletes as well, there's a sense of excitement when you walk into the gym or you walk into an outdoor venue. You're easily recognized, not because of necessarily who you are, but what you've done along the way. And, that in itself could be an entire podcast.
Yeah.
But, we're going to fast track to what we call the rapid fire round.
Rapid fire.
Yeah.
Wow.
Very original
All right.
name. We
Yes,
still
yes, exactly.
we still need a better name for this.
A lot of things in this podcast are evolving.
Yes.
This being one of them.
Uh-huh.
So obviously on the sheet that we provided you prior to the podcast, we didn't include this. But
Rapid fire.
What we want you to do is just first thing that comes to your mind, anywhere from, typically we give our guest 1 to 2 words. We're going to give you as much as 2 to 3 sentences.
Wow. Okay.
That's gracious.
We're gonna make this happen. Ever cross country skied to school?
Yes, I have, and I've also snowmobiled to school.
Snowmobile.
Yeah. Skidoo, as we call them. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Favorite food, be it from Canada or from South Africa?
So Canadians have a food called poutine. It's French fries with gravy on top and some cheese, and poutine and a little apple cider. Man, that goes down real well.
The things you learn on podcasts.
Uh-huh.
Poutine.
Did not know that.
Yeah.
Nice.
Say it in wherever you are. Poutine.
This might be a tough one. Royal Canadian Mounted Police or Alaska State Troopers.
Wow. Yeah. Well, the Mounties, as we call them, the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, are on horseback,
Yes.
right? So
that in itself lies.
So I suppose if I'm in a chase, I probably want, I don't know, I could probably outrace a horse.
Depends on the conditions. I guess.
Yeah. Tough call. That's a tough one. Let's
Okay.
go RCMP.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll give
I
you
like
that.
their outfits.
I'll give you that.
Fun fact, in Ottawa, where I grew up, the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, they have this guard changing where there's like 100 Mounties and they're wearing those big black hats, right? And it's hot. I'll convert here, 30 degrees Celsius, which is about 100 degrees Fahrenheit, and they're so hot, these hats, the RCMP hats, that a lot of them they'll just like collapse due to heat on the one day that it's like 100 degrees Fahrenheit or Fahrenheit. Yeah.
Every other 2 days.
Yeah. 2 seasons in Canada, winter and July.
Okay.
Yeah. That's it.
Yes.
Nice. Speaking of Canada, a question from our viewers: does milk really come in bags?
Wow. I mean, we could split our listening viewership here. Yeah. So weird. Yeah. Fun fact: I grew up drinking milk out of a clear bag. Yeah. It tastes different. I mean, it's a weird thing, but yeah, milk out of a bag. That's a thing.
I've never even thought of that.
Yeah.
That's-
Cartons.
yeah.
That was brand new to me. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Milk carton.
Yeah.
Never knew that.
Man.
Also didn't know anything about grits or biscuits. Never knew what a Bojangles was before I came here. Yeah.
Have you tried grits yet, though?
Yeah, I feel like a brand new man, Coach. I mean, yeah, I feel like I've really missed out on life because of, this new found experience I've had in the last 5 or 6 years.
Okay.
Bold Peanuts. also new. Showed up, first impression. First impression.
Wow.
Walked by. Our family rolled up to a boiled peanut stand, and the guy said, would you like some bowl peanuts? And took me me and my family a few minutes to figure out what was going on there. So
Wow.
love them, by the way.
Oh my
Cajun
gosh.
bowl peanuts. Love them. Absolutely love them.
Oh,
Isaac,
Topper.
when you edit this podcast,
Uh-huh.
category has to be comedy.
Yes.
That'd be great. That'd
Yes,
be
this is
great.
awesome. Okay. This is an interesting one that I've heard you talk about this a little bit in class, but why are there no Canadian teams at the very top of the NHL?
Oh wow.
They're there,
Oh,
but
man.
they're not
Yeah.
winning the cup.
Yeah. I mean, I've had therapy sessions about this, Isaac. Yeah, it
Yeah.
grieves me greatly. Now, I mean, we don't have to get into this battle about how many Canadians are on American hockey teams. Let's not go there. But yeah, it's we're in a drought. We're in a
Yeah.
drought right now. It's been a long time since a
Yeah,
Canadian hockey team has actually won. And I mean, if you've ever been to Canada during the Stanley Cup playoffs, and there is a Canadian team in the playoffs, I mean, they shut down schools. People don't go to work. It's a whole different experience. And then when they lose, everybody, enters into therapy, and
Yeah.
It's a big deal.
it's a pretty big deal. Yeah, I mean, it would be similar to some of the phenomena down here in the U.S. sports wise, but
Yeah.
yeah, it's a pretty big deal.
When the Steelers win the Super Bowl.
Yes.
Yeah.
Back in the day.
Yeah.
Like
Way,
the Cowboys.
Yeah.
way
back-
back in
back
the
in
day.
the
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Cowboys are way back. But
Yes.
yeah.
Couple
Okay.
more rapid fires. So let's start with this one. Back in Canada, okay? Have you ever been walking through the woods and just tapped into a maple tree and pulled out some syrup?
Oh man, yeah. Well, there's a whole process there, Coach, in
yeah?
tapping a tree. Yeah. I've got some buddies that make some real great maple syrup. So, fun fact: what you're tapping out of a tree is sap, the sap. But there's a big second step. So you collect all the sap, and then what you have to do is you got to boil the sap.
Okay.
And I think the ratio is like 100 to 1. So you need a lot of sap to actually get maple syrup. So there you go, listeners. There's some more.
So you're not going to walk up with a plate of pancakes and just tap into a tree.
Well, you'd think
could,
that
but-
would be great, but sap right out of a tree actually tastes kind of like
Bowl peanuts?
bowl peanuts. Yeah, that's right. Everything tastes like bowl peanuts. Yeah, you got it. I like sugary water. I think that's the best way that I could explain it. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. Okay. Second to last question. If you could transition yourself into any job in the world, what would that be?
Yeah, I'd say, Isaac, an easy answer for me would be pastor. I'm a hybrid. I fit into kind of two worlds. My feet are in the academy, and I love the academy. I absolutely do. But I've also got this call of God in my life in ministry. So at various times in my profession, my professional life, vocational life, I've been more involved in local church. At other times, it's been more academy. So I'm I call myself a pracademic. I'm not a pure academic in the sense that this is my only world. I like being in the local church. So I guess a quick answer would be pastor. A unique answer, or one that you might be curious about, I might say neuroscientist.
Okay.
I've always been intrigued with the way the brain works. And so, yeah, if I could press the reboot button, I'd probably land. I kind of dream about being there. If not that, then a landscaper. I often find myself looking out the window
Yeah.
and seeing some of our amazing workers out here at SU. I love those guys.
Yeah.
Rob and his team. And I'm like, man, it would be cool to just cut grass, you know?
Sense of stress relief in there.
Yeah,
Yeah, there
yeah.
is.
Like I see what Rob does on the baseball fields. That
Right.
stuff that he builds and
Yeah,
creates
yeah.
and the design and stuff.
It's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like seeing projects that start and finish. So there's appeal to me. I'm saying it somewhat jokingly, but half actually quite serious too. I've got a lot of respect for people like Rob, who just really amazing people like that do some of the jobs that we might overlook
Right.
here
yeah.
on campus.
Okay, so I want to wrap us up here. And you're a very humble person, right?
It's Canadian DNA, Isaac.
Okay.
Yeah, we lose a lot,
Okay.
so we're kind of used to.
Yes.
Unless it's curling or hockey, you know,
Uh-huh.
it's like
Okay.
yeah.
Well, I'm going to ask you
Wars.
to take that coat of humility off, because what you listeners may know, may not know, is that this man was voted Faculty of the Year this past year. So, like I said, take that coat of humility off for just a few minutes. And what did you do to receive such a great honor?
Well, I'd have to qualify probably first and say it was a thin bench, right? So, yeah, I guess that's.
Gee, you called it.
Yeah. No, there were some really great. As I look at that, I'm honored to have received that award. I really am. And there are some amazing people as I look around our campus. There's some unbelievable faculty members, and it was last year happened to be the year that I was selected, and I was really honored to receive that. Why? I don't know exactly why, Isaac. I'd say, to go back to what I might have said earlier, I wonder if some people appreciate, we want to be heard. Everybody wants to be heard. Even, your listener that's listening, we all want to be heard in life. And I guess a goal that I have here on campus is for people to be heard, and not just the extroverts and not just the ones that are like the loudest, but like the people who sometimes might get overlooked as well. And so a goal of mine, some days I do it well and some days I do it kind of crappy, but I want to create an environment where the people on our campus, the workers, the cafeteria workers, everybody has a sense that they're valued. And that's a goal of mine, whether I have awards or not. It's kind of the way I'm wired. I'll credit it to a good upbringing that I had growing up. I've had to work a lot for the things that I've achieved. A lot of things in my life haven't come real naturally. And so I try really hard to recognize stuff that maybe other people might sometimes overlook, and I would overlook too. So, yeah.
You mentioned upbringing, and for those that don't know, I kind of share that heart of yours. But as much as upbringing like impacts that, it also impacts that to have people in your life that do that.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So I'm sure that like you had those, and now you're that type of person for me.
Yeah, that's
for others on
nice. That's
campus.
cool,
So-
Isaac. That means a lot that you would say that. And it's overused, but it's the whole pay it forward, right? Like
Yes.
when we recognize that we've been given a lot, the inclination is to want to give back. And
Yeah.
I mean, you guys exhibit this, and there's 1,000 different examples on campus. You asked earlier about athletics. One of the reasons I'd add to what I said earlier is I love that pay it forward sort of attitude. I mean, I was just at a lunch with a bunch of coaches, and while they were talking, I was like, this is a group of people who genuinely love each other, who genuinely love students. They're here because they love the job and they love investing in students and people around them. And it's a real privilege to be a part of something like that. I've been a part of a few different work contexts and jobs, and teams, and I really like the team that we have here.
Yeah, it's a good team, that's for sure.
We actually appreciate that answer. We were actually kind of going out and back on if we would have to pull an answer out of you for that question.
Yeah, for sure.
But it was great to
Slim
hear-
bench.
No,
No.
even in a
No.
very humble way, you were very honest, and I think that's why the campus community as a whole generally loves you. And
Yes.
I wasn't joking when I say that you can light up the gym, you can light up the Newton Hobson anywhere on campus because you're very genuine, and that is
Thanks,
great.
thanks, Coach. That means a lot coming from you.
So we appreciate this. Has been a great episode.
Oh, yes, it has.
Honestly, I wish we could either do a episode 5B.
Yes.
Or,
Yes.
we may just bring you back.
Do it in French, maybe.
French.
Yeah. Est-ce que tu parles français?
We'll get some bold
The-
peanuts. And,
Some bold peanuts.
We'll have a good old time. Taps, thanks for being
My
here.
pleasure.
Of course,
Thanks, Isaac.
thank you.
Thanks, Coach.
So we'll wind this down as always. Go Warriors.
Go Warriors.
Go Warriors.